She said, "If you're unhappy, the gate's right there," when I expressed concern about her flirting at the fundraiser. I said, "Thanks for the reminder." Then I did something that made my girlfriend realize how empty the apartment felt without me. When she came back from the event and found the music was soft, just jazzy enough to pretend people were having fun without making it hard to talk. We were at this lakeside gala, some fancy benefit for her friend's nonprofit. Candlelight shimmered across the water. Everyone looked expensive and bored. I was near the open bar, holding a glass of something overpriced, when I saw her do it again. Layla, laughing, leaning across the silent auction table. Her hand on his arm, the volunteer coordinator, Adrian. The same one who'd helped us unload the decor earlier. He was tall, clean-shaven, kind of the type she always claimed was too pretty for her. But there she was, fingers grazing his jacket sleeve like it was instinct. That was the third time tonight. I'd kept count without meaning to. We were here because of her. Her friend organized this whole thing, and Layla had begged me to come, help set up, drive her, and, oh yeah, pay for the damn table sponsorship. I'd done all of it, because that's what I did. So when she walked back toward me, drink in hand, cheeks glowing like she was exactly where she belonged, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just looked at her and said, "Can I ask you something?" She cocked her head. "Sure. I've noticed you've touched Adrian's arm a few times tonight," I said. "And the way you're talking to him, it feels a little different. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I just want to be honest about how that came across." She blinked. Then she laughed short, sharp, with too much air in it. "Oh my God, Ethan, seriously?" I didn't say anything. She leaned in, smirking now. "You're jealous because I was being nice?" I was literally thanking him for helping. "You really need to chill out. It's not the gratitude that bothered me. It was the touching. The flirting." She scoffed. "Well, so now being polite is flirting? I'm not accusing you of anything. I took a breath. It made me uncomfortable." She tilted her head, like I was a child who'd said something stupid in public. Then she turned slightly toward the people near us and said, loud enough for a few heads to turn, "If you're this unhappy, there's the gate." She said it like a joke, pointed one finger toward the pathway leading out of the venue, past the valets and lanterns. Then she looked back at me with a crooked little smile. And that was the moment I understood. She wasn't worried I might leave. She didn't even think it was a real possibility. So I nodded, calm as ever. "Thanks for the reminder." I pulled my wallet out, took out a few bills, more than enough to cover our drinks, and set them on the tall table between us. Then I walked. Didn't say a word. Didn't glance back. By the time I reached the gravel lot, the air was cooler, quieter. I heard the water lapping against the dock behind the venue, faint and rhythmic, like something exhaling. I got in the car. Sat with the engine off for a second. My hands were steady. She thought I'd never walk. But I did. And that made all the difference. I let myself into the apartment with the spare key still on my ring. No messages from Layla yet, not that I was waiting for one. The place was dark. I didn't bother turning on the lights right away. I just stood in the doorway and looked around. It was technically her apartment, at least on paper. But I'd been paying the rent for a year and a half. The security deposit, the utilities, the internet, even the new espresso machine she swore would pay for itself if she stopped going to coffee shops. She didn't even bother changing her mailing address when she moved in. Still got her packages sent to her mom's place. I walked past the living room, running my hand over the back of the couch. Not mine. Neither was the art on the walls, those canvas prints with "Dream Big" and "Inhale Exhale" painted in fake cursive. The branded candles, the velvet throw pillows she bought in bulk because some influencer had posted about them. I kept looking for something, anything, that was me. There was a hoodie I'd left on the back of a chair. A phone charger on the nightstand. One mug in the kitchen with a tiny chip on the handle, the only one I actually used. That was it. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't even have to look at it. I knew it was her. When I finally checked, the message said, "Did you seriously leave? Grow up. Adrian's giving me a ride home." I stared at the screen for a long second. Then I tapped the lock button. She was right about one thing. The gate was there. But I didn't just walk out of the party. I was about to walk out of this entire situation. I sat down at the dining table, the one I'd assembled, by the way, and opened my laptop. Logged into all the accounts we'd been sharing. Streaming services? Changed the passwords. Utilities? Still under my name. I set the shut-off dates for 30 days from now. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it with the same calm I used to install software patches at work. Just routine maintenance. She could keep the furniture, the scented candles, the curated gallery wall. All of it. I didn't want any of it back. I wasn't taking my stuff. I was taking myself. I packed one suitcase. Just one. Work clothes, casual stuff, the basics. Left behind the jacket she hated but that I actually liked. As I zipped the suitcase, I noticed a little corner of one of her vision boards sticking out from under the bed, photos of beaches, a quote about manifesting abundance, some picture of a guy in a suit stepping off a private jet. I didn't touch it. Instead, I wheeled the suitcase out the front door and locked it behind me. She'd built herself a Pinterest-perfect life. But all the real stuff? I was taking that with me. I checked into the corporate suite around 11 p.m. It was part of a work perk I'd never used before. The company kept a few premium extended stay units reserved for employees on special assignments or transitions. I'd always figured it was for someone else. People going places. The front desk clerk handed me the keycard like I belonged there. No questions, no small talk. Just a quiet, carpeted hallway and a solid door with a brass handle. Inside, the lights came on with a soft hum. Everything smelled new. The living room was modern and clean, with a desk facing a massive window and a king-size bed in the next room with crisp white sheets. There was bottled water on the nightstand and a welcome basket with snacks I probably wouldn't eat. I tossed my suitcase on the chair and just stood there for a second. Let it sink in. I'd gotten promoted 2 weeks ago. Bigger title. More responsibility. More money. I hadn't told Layla. Not because it was a secret, but because I knew exactly what she'd say. Something snarky about how I'd finally sold my soul or how I should enjoy my cubicle coffin. She liked the money, not the hours it took to earn it. I turned off my phone, dropped it on the nightstand, and peeled off my shirt. Room service came fast. Pasta, a decent glass of wine, and a slice of chocolate cake I didn't ask for but finished anyway. I ate it on the couch in silence, watching a muted late-night show with the subtitles on. No one texting me. No one asking me to pick something up on the way home. No one waiting for me to apologize for imaginary crimes. Just me. I slept like a rock that night, the best I'd slept in months. No Layla pacing in the hallway, talking to her friends at 2 a.m. No midnight complaints about the energy in the room or the fact that I forgot to take the trash out before bed. In the morning, I'd have to deal with the fallout. The texts, the voicemails, the drama. But tonight I chose peace. And peace felt like clean sheets, room service, and the slow, quiet realization that I was finally living a life that felt like mine again. I turned my phone back on around 8 a.m. Monday morning. It vibrated so hard, I set it down on the desk and just let it buzz until it stopped. 73 missed calls. 152 texts. Dozens of voicemails. The first few were confused. Are you mad? Seriously, where did you go? Can we talk like adults, please? Then the tone shifted. Fast. So you just walked out? Unbelievable. So dramatic. Adrian thinks you're unstable. Adrian. Right. The auction guy. By the 10th message, she'd moved on to mockery. Wow, didn't realize you were this sensitive. If you wanted to break up, you could have just said so like a man. You're really ghosting me over nothing? Nothing. Apparently, me finally saying how I felt. That was nothing. Around message 35, it turned to pleading. Ethan, come on. Let's talk. You can't just disappear. By message 70, she was angry again. You're pathetic. Hope your little tantrum was worth it. Don't expect me to chase you. I didn't respond. By noon, my friend Marcus texted. Marcus, hey man, you okay? Layla's telling people you just dipped over some weird jealousy thing. Marcus, again, I wasn't going to say anything before, but yeah, that night, she was absolutely flirting with that dude. We all saw it. Marcus, also, she said you stormed off? That didn't sound like you. I told him what actually happened. He texted back. Dude, good for you. Later that afternoon, my mom called. I hesitated, then picked up. Hey, honey, she said, voice light. I just got off the phone with Layla. I closed my eyes. Of course you did. She wanted to know if I'd heard from you. I told her you were probably off being the responsible one as usual. I laughed. It just came out. She said I was being dramatic, I said. She always did like to shift the blame, didn't she? Mom said. Honestly, I never liked the way she spoke to you. Too sharp. You deserve better than someone who thinks saying, I love you, is the same as winning an argument. We talked for 10 minutes. It was the easiest conversation I'd had in weeks. By dinner, 2 more friends reached out. One sent a screenshot of Layla's messages in the group chat. She'd been pretending to be blindsided. No clue why he's acting like this. Then Adrian, the auction guy, replied in the thread. Didn't you tell me Friday night that you were planning to end it anyway? Silence. Then someone else chimed in. Wait, weren't you flirting with Marcus like 2 weeks ago? You literally said you were breaking up with him already. Layla left the chat. The screenshots started making the rounds. That was the moment everything clicked. She hadn't just been disrespectful, she'd been preparing to move on, stringing me along while lining up her next thing. I turned off the notifications, closed my laptop, and sat back on the bed. For the first time, I didn't feel crazy. I didn't feel reactive. I felt clear. Layla had tried to twist the story, make herself the victim. But she underestimated one thing, how quickly people connect the dots when you stop covering for someone. She called me unstable, too sensitive, jealous. But all I did was leave. And now the story was unraveling, without me having to say another word. Tuesday morning, things finally got physical, not with me, thankfully, but with the building security team. It started just after lunch. I was back at my desk, reviewing project timelines, when my phone buzzed with a message from the front desk receptionist. Reception, 12:42 p.m. Hi, Ethan. There's a woman downstairs demanding to speak to you. Says it's urgent. Security's with her now. I already knew who it was. I typed back one word, deny. 2 minutes later, the receptionist replied. She's refusing to leave. Getting loud. Then, a knock on my office door. It was Jared from HR, clipboard in hand, face tight. Hey, Ethan. You got a second? I followed him into the HR conference room. We're just doing due diligence here, he said, closing the door. Layla showed up downstairs. Said she needed to confront you about shared belongings you allegedly took when you moved out. I blinked. Shared belongings? He glanced at his notes. She specifically mentioned electronics, subscriptions, and something about utilities in her name? I almost laughed. Everything was in my name, I said calmly. She never paid for anything. Not once. She used it, but it was mine. I walked out with a suitcase and shut off the accounts I paid for. That's it. Jared gave a small nod. I figured. Just wanted it on record. For what it's worth, she's been removed from the property. Security handled it cleanly. I nodded. Appreciate that. We've also flagged her name with front desk security. She's no longer allowed in the building. There was something final in the way he said it. That evening, back at the corporate apartment, I sat down at the desk and pulled up a few final tabs. Shared Google calendars? Deleted. Cloud drives? Locked down. My phone plan? Removed her old number from my billing. Then I blocked her number completely. There was nothing left to argue over. No hooks in my schedule, no open windows into my life. She had stormed my office like she still had a key. Like I was a page she could rewrite whenever the story no longer suited her. But that chapter was closed. From now on, she could scream at locked doors. She didn't have access anymore. By Wednesday, she tried to reclaim the narrative, this time publicly. She posted a vague but clearly aimed rant on Instagram. A muted pink background, white cursive text over it. Imagine giving everything to someone only for them to ghost you after one disagreement. Emotional abuse is still abuse. I said what I said. Tag me, too. Right there under the caption at Ethan. Writes. Within minutes, her followers started jumping in. Girl, you deserve better. Men like that are cowards. Let him go, queen. I didn't comment. Didn't engage. But someone else did. Adrian. Yes, that Adrian, the auction guy. He slid into the comments with a simple question. Didn't you tell me Friday night you were already ending things? I thought you said he was too controlling and you needed space. A few likes trickled in under his comment. Then another one popped up. Marcus, wait, weren't you seeing someone else last week too? More comments started surfacing. You literally told us he wasn't invited to your friend's birthday because he brings the vibe down. Thought you were single, babe. Didn't you say you lived like a roommate? Within an hour, the post was gone. But it was too late. One of my friends had already sent me screenshots of the entire thing. Group chats were buzzing. My coworker just texted. Jess, so, your ex is imploding in real time. We're all watching from the bleachers. By the afternoon, I got another message, a forwarded thread from one of Layla's mutuals. Apparently, she tried to pivot in another group, painting herself as emotionally drained from always having to carry the relationship. Someone clapped back with a Venmo history showing she'd never paid for rent or utilities. Just brunch. It wasn't about revenge. I wasn't cheering, but I watched it happen with a kind of detached calm. The story she tried to build, the one where I was the bad guy who walked out for no reason, was crumbling because too many people had receipts. Layla had built her image carefully. The witty captions, the curated photos, the faux humility posts about self-worth and boundaries. But she underestimated how many people were quietly watching. How many of them already knew the truth. That post was supposed to make me look like a ghoster. Instead, it showed her hand. And now the same people she tried to perform for? They were the ones taking screenshots. The truth had its own momentum now. And I didn't need to say a single thing. By the weekend, she switched strategies again. No more online rants. No more defensive posts. Just silence until she showed up in person. I got the call from the building concierge around 7 p.m. Friday. Hi, Mr. Keller? There's a woman here with flowers asking for you. She says she's your girlfriend. Should I send her up? I sighed. No. Please let security escort her out. Yes, sir. Right away. I watched from the window as she stood in front of the entrance, clutching a grocery store bouquet and looking genuinely stunned when the guards came out. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stood there. Like the door would open if she waited long enough. It didn't. Later that night, she emailed me. Subject, about the bills. Body. I can't afford the full rent on my own. I thought we'd be splitting it like we talked about. The landlord's asking questions. Please let me know what you're planning. I replied the next morning. Subject. About the bills. Hi, Layla. As discussed previously, the apartment is yours to manage now. The utilities will shut off in 3 weeks. Best of luck finding a setup that works for you. I never got a response. By the second week, I found out she had started crashing with her old friend Megan, the same friend she used to call obsessed with rules and insufferable about chores. Turns out Megan had a one-bedroom with a fold-out couch and zero tolerance for mess or excuses. Megan called me, oddly enough. Look, I know we've never been close, she said. But can I just say, you got out at the right time. She okay? I asked, out of habit. Megan exhaled. No, she's not. She keeps saying you ruined her life, but honestly, I think she was expecting you to save it forever. 2 weeks later, even Megan had enough. I got a message from an unknown number at 2:13 a.m. I have nowhere to go. You left me with nothing. You ruined everything. I blocked the number. A few nights later, another one came in, this time from her email. Subject line. You really meant it. She wrote. I picked you because I thought you'd never leave. You always stayed calm. You always helped. I didn't think you'd actually go. That was the deal. I push, you stay. That's how it worked. You broke the script. No apology. No real acknowledgement. Just the cracked confession of someone who'd finally run out of places to project. I didn't reply. I saved the email, though. Not out of sentimentality. Just as a reminder, a timestamp of the exact moment the illusion cracked. She had always assumed I wouldn't walk. That I was too patient, too passive, too conditioned to keep things running. But she was wrong. She told me where the gate was. And I used it. Not to storm out, but to leave permanently without slamming the door. Now she was the one locked out. And all I had left was peace. The email came 3 weeks later. Subject, one last conversation. Short, restrained, almost formal. She wanted to meet. Not to fight, she said. Not to get anything. Just to talk. I waited 2 days before replying. Then I gave her a time and place, a quiet coffee shop on the edge of the city. Midday. Bright. Neutral ground. When I walked in, she was already there. Hoodie, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just dulled. She stood when she saw me, like she wasn't sure if she was supposed to. I didn't offer a hug. We sat. She wrapped her hands around her mug like it was the only warm thing in her life. Thanks for coming. I nodded. You said you had something to say. She didn't start right away. Just sat there, breathing through it. I didn't expect you to leave, she said finally. I mean, I said all that stuff, but I never thought you'd actually go. I didn't answer. Just let her keep talking. I was angry. Embarrassed. You called me out in front of people without even raising your voice. And then you just walked away. Like it didn't matter. It did matter, I said. That's why I walked. She looked down. You know, the apartment feels dead without you. Like it was only alive because of you. You were the one who made it work. I know. I thought I wanted more, she said. But I didn't even know what that meant. I just liked the attention. Adrian? That was never going anywhere. None of them were. I raised an eyebrow. There were others? She flinched. Does it matter now? I shrugged. Not really. There was a long pause. Then, softer, is there any chance we could try again? I let the silence stretch. She didn't feel it this time. No, I said, steady. There's not. Her eyes glossed, but she didn't cry. I figured. Just had to ask. I'm not angry anymore, I added. But I've never been this clear. I stayed quiet for too long. Kept trying to be the bigger person. But all that did was let you take more. She nodded. I know. You said I wouldn't leave. That was the script, right? You push, I stay. But I finally realized the gate was always there. And I didn't owe you another step. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Still didn't argue. When I stood, she didn't follow. Take care, Layla. She gave a half smile. You too, Ethan. I walked out. The door clicked shut behind me, and for the first time, I realized something. The quiet of my life wasn't loneliness. It was peace.